Sorry. Now what's up, YouTube? So I'm just gonna be doing kind of like a rambling. I'm doing the Divergent Universe weekly thing. I don't ever actually read these. They don't really matter too much. Like, I'm sure they do matter, but they don't matter enough. But anyways, I just wanted to talk about the Fate collab. So as you can see, I do have the Glorious King, Artoria Pendragon, Saber. So speaking as a Fate fan, right? I was very much looking forward to this collaboration. And I just have to say that I'm very, very disappointed with it because the the story was actually pretty bad. So actually, before I talk about all my gripes with it, I wanna I wanna um I wanna go over something good, right? Something good that uh bleh. Okay, so one thing I do like, right? So if you go to the Pride Win tier list, you'll see that Archer and Saber are good characters, which is a good thing. I think it's wonderful that they at least made the new characters good. Archer being free is really nice that they made a free character good at the their meta, and Saber being strong as well. My only gripe with this particular thing is that Archer's stronger than Saber, and the reason why I don't like it, I like for two reasons. One, I think it's stupid that the free character is weaker than the pay for character. Um, if you paid for something, it should definitely be stronger than something you get for free. That's that's just how it should be. I don't think it should be that much stronger, but I do think that Saber should have been the stronger unit. And also for the lore accuracy, Saber is the King of Knights and repeatedly mentioned as the strongest servant. So I would think that the strongest servant should be stronger than the free one. But that's just my own personal gripe. I don't have a problem with both of them being strong. That's a good thing for the game. Um, but that aside, I also do like the animations, and I'll probably show one at some point. But I do think they did the animations justice, and them doing their chants when you do their ultimate is really cool. But that's for like the good. Well, no, there's one more good thing. So I will say in the story, if you paid attention, and I did for a little bit, but not enough. Um, if you pay attention in the story, they did do the characters justice, personality-wise. Saber, Archer, Lancer, they all did. Their personalities were very were very close to how they are in the series. But that's really where all the good things end. I think um, the story was bad for like a whole hour of the story. It was completely muted, and that was just terrible. Like that made the story so unbearable. I'm not someone who likes to use the skip button. If you come to like my streams, uh, you'll see it that I am not a skip button user. But I even used the skip button for the past two stories, the Star Rail 3.4, which I heard was good, but I was just so sick of HSR stories that when they added the skip button, I was so happy to use it. And then this collab story, it didn't even feel like a Fate collab. What it felt like was just another Scott event, because spoilers, the like one of the biggest plot points was Scott trying to take his revenge on us for all the times we clowned on him. And so the premise of the story, which supposedly Nasu looked over and approved, and Nasu is the creator of the Fate series, right? Supposedly he looked over and approved it, but I very much doubt that, because this story was garbage. It was like, as I'm putting in the title, it was Hoyo disrespecting the Fate series, because it didn't show the Holy Grail War. So the premise of the story was Penacony has its own Holy Grail War, and then we're going to have the winner get the Holy Grail, and the Holy Grail you get to get your wish. So then it shows the masters with their spell command, and then it has the it had the like it had the servants. So the only 3 servants that made an appearance are Saber, Lancer, and Archer. And like for like IP purposes, I understand that it's very difficult to get IPs. You have to use what they give you. Okay, so I do like that animation is really nice, and the fact that they gave Saber the chant is really cool. Anyways, so the story itself, it was pretty garbage. They did have a cool like set of cutscenes with like Saber, Archer, and all that, and I'm just gonna auto it. I just want to show the animation, but that doesn't matter. But so when you go through the story, it's basically old Odie, the guy who gives us the boat at the end of Penacony, or the big ship at the end of Penacony. He finds the Holy Grail, and he wants to hold the Holy Grail War. So the Holy Grail War, for people who don't know the Fate series very well, it's supposed to be this underground war between mage families, and it's supposed to be an actual war. So the mage families, they have one person be picked as a master, they get their spell commands, and then they summon a servant, and the servant is supposed to be a hero from the past. So in the case of Saber, she's supposed to be King Arthur, and it's supposed to be a war, so it's supposed to be bloody and stuff. And then they made it a point to say, oh, it's there because it's in the Land of Dreams, Penacony. There's no violence and no war. And Hoyo just really has a problem with war in general. Like even in Natlan, the Nation of War, honestly, compared to Natlan, like if I were to compare this Holy Grail War event and Natlan's war with the Abyss, Natlan's war is a joke. It's hardly a war, but it was more serious than the Holy Grail event. The Holy Grail event was literally the masters going buddy with each other, and then the servants becoming buddy, which is not how they are in the series. Like they'll work together, but they're not buddy with each other. Like even one scene that really stood out to me was Lancer's master teams up with Saber's master, and so Lancer takes like a night watch and watches over. He doesn't actually care for Saber's master, but he does do as his master commands and takes the night watch and helps protect. And it's purely because the master said so. But in this one, like they're actively working together and like buddy, and that's really not how they act in the series. So it kind of just like takes who they are and kind of throws that away. And like I'm not saying they don't like each other or anything, because in this series like they have deep respect for each other, and they did show that a little bit in this. But like aside from like slightly butchering the characters a bit, like they said, they got their personalities right, but not how they interact correctly. They also, aside from like a couple cutscenes, there were not that many actual Fate references in the Fate collab. Like, so the summoning of Saber was a reference from the Fate series, and that was cool. But like aside from that, there wasn't really. And then maybe like Archer's flip in the final cutscene, where he does that flip shot against Lancer, but he does it against like the enemies, and that was cool. But that was honestly it. As far as it goes, there weren't too many actual Fate references or interactions. And it really felt to me like they were disrespecting the Fate series with that. I feel like the story was just terrible. The fact that like a whole hour of it was silent, like, so in the story, the assassin class, he's Scott's servant, right? And he's represented by Mr. Rekka. And like, even though I think it's stupid they use NPCs, I understand them not being able to get the actual IP or the actual servants because of IP law. I'm not that unreasonable. It does suck, but it's whatever. But yeah, so in the story, Mr. Rekka has like this, his noble phantasm, and that's what the ultimates are. Is he you get pulled into like this cinematic world, and then you get pulled to the cinematic world, and then everyone loses their voices except for Scott has his voice because he's like the main bad guy and he's the master. And then like later in the end, as like it's about to end, Aventurine gets his voice, and that's it. So for like an hour of the story, there's no dialogue, and as a Fate collab too, like the Fate characters don't have that much screen time compared to everyone else. This is a collab for them, but they don't make too much of an appearance. Like Saber makes an appearance because she's Saber. She's oh, that sucks. So she's our servant and we're the main character, so obviously. Maybe I should have played this manually, but that's whatever. Anyways, let me see if I can redo this. Yeah, restart challenge. I guess I'll play this manually. But yeah, so the that whole like silent segment, and then we get into another segment where so Robin's servant is Caster, and she ends up betraying us or whatever, and it and she pulls us into the west, so we get sucked into what's supposed to be like Britain, but it's just like the reused asset of Finon's homeworld. They didn't even like make a new area for Britain, and then our character gets pulled into like Herta space station. So it's just a lot of reused assets and a lot of people not it was just a lot of reasons. That's a lot of people not liking like what's happening, and I got the story was just really boring. It showed no respect to Fate. It was just very boring to play through, and it was just a huge issue. This I really just felt like a big disrespect to the Fate series. So I feel like if they're gonna do something like that, like why even make a Fate collab if you're not gonna actually make a Fate collab, right? But I just wanted to rant about it and like talk about how bad it was, because it really was bad. Like, but anyway, enough of my like unscripted and kind of unorganized ranting. Let me know how you guys felt about the Fate collab and everything. Like I said, I as a Fate fan myself, and I'm not like a huge Fate fan, But I'm a big enough fan that I felt like Hoyo really did a disservice. They disrespected the Fate franchise with this collaboration, and they could have done a lot better. Because like especially because they had a whole year to do this, even a little longer, and they just really dropped the ball. So yeah, that's my thoughts. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down below.